The year is 1959. A single, very formal letter makes its way to the International Court of Justice. Now, at first glance, it just seemed like a simple request for, a bit of clarification. But that one piece of paper, it was actually the opening shot in a really complex international drama, a story all about power, fairness, and who gets to make the rules on the high seas. So, this is it. This is the letter that kicked the whole thing off. It's from a brand new United Nations agency, the Inter-Governmental Maritime Consultative Organization, or, IMCO for short, which is a lot easier to say. And what's inside seems like a totally straightforward, almost technical question for the world's highest court. And there it is, the official question. Is the Maritime Safety Committee constituted in accordance with the convention? Basically, was this new safety committee put together the right way? I mean, it sounds like a simple procedural check, right? But believe me, behind all that very formal language, a political storm was brewing. The real story isn't in what they asked, but why on earth they had to ask it in the first place. Okay, so to really get what the stakes were here, you gotta understand what IMCO was all about. This was the global body set up to make international shipping safer for, well, everyone. So its Maritime Safety Committee, that wasn't just any committee. Oh no, this was the group that was going to set the safety standards for the entire planet. So you can imagine, having a seat at that table was a very, very big deal. You see, the moment the International Court of Justice gets a request like this one, this incredibly precise and formal process just kicks into gear. You can think of it like a vast, intricate machine of justice, where every single step, every little detail is carefully documented and communicated. And now, the gears were officially turning. And the court's response was, well, immediate. Just a few days after getting IMCO's letter, the deputy registrar sends out this telegram. So what's the first order of business? Easy. Acknowledge the request and start gathering the basic facts. And that begins with a simple question. Can you please send us a list of all of IMCO's member states? The way the court operates is just so systematic, it's almost clinical. First, you confirm the question. Second, you identify every single nation involved. And third, you gather all the paperwork. Every step is just methodically building the foundation for the case, making sure that nothing, and I mean nothing, is left to chance. And this is where you start to get a feel for the sheer scale of this whole undertaking. The court doesn't just ask for the documents. It demands 30, that's 30 sets of bilingual documents. This isn't just a legal query anymore. It's a massive logistical operation, building a literal mountain of paperwork. So for months, this becomes the rhythm of the case. You just have the steady stream of letters and telegrams crossing the globe, going back and forth between The Hague, New York, and all these different world capitals. And this super meticulous process, it was absolutely crucial. It was all about making sure that every single nation involved had the exact same information before the real arguments could even begin. Okay, so with all this formal procedure underway, it brings us right back to our central question. What was this dispute really about? I mean, why would the makeup of a safety committee need the attention of the entire world's highest court? Well, the answer was about to become crystal clear. And then this letter arrives. It's from the government of Liberia. And this letter, it just peels back all those layers of polite, diplomatic language and changes absolutely everything. Suddenly, what seemed like a quiet procedural question just explodes into a full-blown political dispute. And here it is, the crucial line. Liberia doesn't talk about a simple procedural mistake. It alleges, and I'm quoting here, the unlawful action of a bare majority. This isn't a request for clarification anymore. This is an accusation. Liberia is claiming that the entire election was fundamentally illegitimate. The letter lays it all out. Liberia is arguing that it and another nation were intentionally and unlawfully excluded from the committee, that this was a pure power play by other members. And, in a pretty fascinating twist, the documents show that it was Liberia itself that started the push inside IMCO to send this whole question to the court. They were the ones forcing this issue out into the light. So, with that accusation out in the open, the court just follows its procedure. It officially invites every single member state to submit their own written statements on what went down. This was no longer just about IMCO and Liberia. The court had essentially turned to the entire maritime world and asked, so what do you think happened here? The world had to choose a side. And wow, the world definitely responded. Just look at this lineup. You've got Liberia, of course, but then the United States of America, the United Kingdom, France, Panama, the Netherlands, Norway. These are the dominant maritime powers of the day. Their jumping in signaled that this wasn't just about one country's complaint anymore. It was about who would control the rules of global shipping. The lines were being drawn. You can also see the legal strategies starting to take shape. When the United States submits its statement, for example, it does more than just give its opinion. It specifically requests an opportunity to comment on what the other countries say. This wasn't just simple participation. This was preparation for a complex, multi-sided legal battle. So the president of the court then lays down the law. A firm deadline is set for all this written evidence to be received. All the arguments, all the statements, all the supporting documents had to be on the registrar's desk by December 5th, 1959. The clock was ticking, and the period for submitting evidence was officially closing. I mean, think about the journey this case took. It stretched across nearly a full year. It all kicked off with that disputed election in January. By March, it was officially in the hands of the International Court of Justice. The paper trail just built and built until that deadline in December. And now, the stage was finally set for the final act, the oral hearings, scheduled for April 1960. So there we have it. All the arguments were finally in. All the powerful nations had chosen their sides. The date for the final hearing was officially on the calendar. The simple question that started this whole thing, a little query about procedure, had transformed into something way, way bigger. Now, the 15 judges of the International Court of Justice were poised to deliver a verdict that would help define the rules of power on the high seas.